You sit down. You open the one thing you've been avoiding. 2 minutes in, you're gone. Not physically. Your body is still there, hand on the mouse, eyes on the screen. But you, the part of you that was actually working, that part left the room. You don't even notice it happening. 1 second you're reading a sentence, the next second you're replaying a conversation from 3 days ago, or wondering if you left the stove on, or rehearsing an argument that hasn't happened yet. Then you catch yourself. You blink. You look back at the screen and you have no idea what you just read. Sound familiar? Here's the part that stings. You didn't get distracted by your phone. Nobody interrupted you. There was no notification, no noise, no external reason for your focus to break. Your own mind did it to you. And that's the part that makes people feel broken. Not lazy in the way we usually mean it. Something quieter than that. Like there's a version of you that wants to focus and another version that keeps pulling you away, and you don't get a vote in which one wins. So let's actually look at what's happening in those 2 minutes, because it's not random and it's not a character flaw. A researcher named Sophie Leroy, now dean of a business school at the University of Washington, spent years studying exactly this moment. She found that when you move from one task to another, part of your attention doesn't move with you. It stays behind. She called it attention residue. If the first task was left unfinished or interrupted, or even just sitting open in the back of your mind, a piece of your focus stays glued to it. And here's the detail that matters. She found this happens even with tiny switches. A glance at a message, a half-formed thought about something else you have to do today. You don't need a big interruption to lose your focus. You just need one loose thread still hanging from 10 minutes ago. That's why you can sit down with the best intentions and still feel scattered before you've even started. You're not starting clean. You're starting with residue already sitting on top of your attention, and it eats into your first few minutes before you've done anything wrong at all. But that only explains part of it. It explains why your focus is shaky at the start. It doesn't explain why the same thought keeps coming back over and over, like it's refusing to leave. For that, go back almost 100 years to a psychologist named Zeigarnik. She noticed something strange about waiters in a restaurant. They could remember a huge, complicated order perfectly right up until the moment it was served. The second it was finished, they forgot it completely. Unfinished things stayed loaded in memory. Finished things vanished. Later research built on this and found something even more specific. It's not just that unfinished things are remembered better. It's that they intrude. They show up uninvited in the middle of something else entirely because your brain treats an open loop as unfinished business that still needs handling. That's the replay. That thought that keeps circling back isn't circling back because it's important or true or even useful. It's circling back because it's incomplete, and your mind can't tell the difference between an unfinished task and an unresolved worry. Both get filed the same way. Both get replayed the same way, which means the thing pulling you away from your work might not even be real. It might just be a loop your brain hasn't been told it's allowed to close. And here's where it gets worse before it gets better. Because once you notice you've drifted, you get annoyed at yourself. You call yourself unfocused, or lazy, or broken. And that irritation becomes its own thought. Now you're not just distracted by the original thing, you're distracted by being upset about being distracted. One loop creates another loop. That's how 2 minutes of lost focus turns into an entire afternoon that feels wasted, even though you were sitting at your desk the whole time. If it helps even a little, this isn't rare, and it isn't a personal failing. Researchers Matthew Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert, working out of Harvard, ran a study where they pinged thousands of people throughout their day and asked what they were actually thinking about in that exact moment. Nearly half the time, people were thinking about something other than what they were doing. Not occasionally, nearly half of all waking hours. Their minds had wandered off script without asking permission. And the study found something else worth sitting with. That wandering usually made people less happy in the moment, even when the thought itself wasn't negative. The wandering itself was the cost, not just what they were thinking about. So if your mind drifts constantly, you're not the exception. You're the default setting of being human. The question was never how to stop your mind from wandering completely. That's not realistic for anyone. The real question is what makes the wandering finally stop pulling at you. And this is where it gets useful. Researchers Roy Baumeister and E.J. Masacampo tested something simple. They found that an unfinished, nagging thought doesn't actually need to be finished to stop intruding. It needs a plan, a specific answer for when and how it will be dealt with. The moment people wrote down exactly when they'd handle the unresolved thing, the intrusive thoughts dropped off almost immediately. Not because the task was done, because the brain finally got a satisfying answer to the question it kept asking. That's the whole trick hiding underneath all of this. Your mind isn't trying to sabotage you. It's trying to protect something it thinks is still open. A worry with no ending, a task with no plan, a thought with nowhere to go. Give it somewhere to go, even just a specific time. You'll deal with it later, and the pulling starts to loosen almost immediately. You were never the problem. You just kept trying to outmuscle a mind that was simply waiting for permission to let go. So the next time you sit down and 2 minutes in, you feel yourself drifting, don't fight it. Don't get angry at yourself. Just ask what's still open, name it, give it a time, and watch how much longer you can actually stay.